Good morning. It's 11:30. We're going to get started. I'm Lisa Grennan. I'm the Family Program Manager for DLA Battle Creek. Welcome to Social Security Retirement, planning today for tomorrow's future. I am so excited to introduce our speaker today. Hillary Hatch is new to us, but she is not new to Social Security Administration. She has been there for 14 years. She holds a master's degree in public administration from Grand Valley State University. And welcome today, Hillary. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Like Lisa said, I'm new to all of you, but not new to Social Security. I've been with the agency for 14 years. I've held various roles throughout my career, and most recently, this public affairs specialist position. So I'm very, very happy to be here with all of you today, and I hope you find this presentation helpful. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat, and Lisa or someone will be monitoring the chat and they'll ask questions as we move through the presentation. If there is any question that I cannot answer, or you think of a question, in the future, please feel free to email Lisa and she'll get that to me and I will provide a response as soon as I have one. So let's go ahead and get started today. So one of the questions that we get asked most frequently is, when should I apply or when should I file for Social Security retirement benefits? And that decision is a personal one. So our answer to that question really is, I don't know. And the reason we don't know is because it is such a personal decision. There's no best age for everyone to file for retirement benefits. There's so many different factors to consider with that. And that includes your current cash needs, your current health, family longevity, if you want to keep working or not, and other sources of retirement income. But some of the basics to keep in mind when you're deciding on whether or not to start collecting Social Security retirement benefits is that your monthly benefit, it will be higher if you delay starting it. It will be lower if you take the benefit early. The earliest that you can start collecting is age 62. Also, if you're married, you really have 2 lives to plan for. You can make different decisions on when you want to start collecting benefits, especially if the spouses are different ages, if one wants to continue working and the other does not. Those are all things to take into consideration. Again, you can keep working while receiving benefits. There are some income limitations, and that's something that we will talk about. Also, something to keep in mind is that your benefits may be subject to taxation. And also, don't forget about Medicare. I know that's another factor when we're considering when to file for retirement benefits. So how do you qualify for retirement benefits? So you qualify when you work and pay Social Security taxes. You're earning credits towards Social Security. So you need 40 credits or 10 years of work, and you must be 62 or older. So for each $1,640 in earnings, that gives you 1 credit, and you can earn a maximum of 4 credits per year. So for this year, for 2023, the maximum you must earn at least $6,560 to earn all 4 credits. And that's the maximum 4. So it doesn't matter, if you made $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, you're still only going to earn those 4 credits. So really the takeaway on this slide is, in order to qualify for retirement benefits, you need 10 years of work and you must be 62 or older.
Can a non-working spouse receive Social Security benefits if they do not have enough work credits?
Yes, that's a great question. And that's something that I will talk about when I talk about spouses benefits. So definitely a non-working spouse, if they don't have enough credits, they can file for benefits off of their spouse's work record and receive retirement benefits. So how does Social Security determine your benefit amount? Well, benefits are based on earnings. So your wages are adjusted for changes in wage levels over time. We find the monthly average of your 35 highest earnings years, and then the result is the averaged index monthly earnings, and that is how we determine what your benefit amount is. And when we say that your wages are adjusted for changes in wage levels over time, that means that we're We are indexing your earnings. So we're looking at what they are in today's dollars. There's a formula that we use. So if you were looking at your earnings record and you may think, maybe in 1980, you made $14,000 and you think, well, that's not going to be one of my high 35 years. But once we run it through our formula to index the earnings, that $14,000, is actually worth a lot more than that. So it really could be one of your 35 highest earnings years. So one thing that I want to talk about is credit for military service. First of all, your military pension does not affect your Social Security benefits. You will get your full benefits based on your earnings. Sometimes individuals will ask us if they get credit for their military service, and this slide kind of breaks that down. So from 1957 through 2001, if you had military service earnings for active duty, you may have extra Social Security wage credits added to your earnings record. And this is when people will ask us, I want to, did I get the extra Social Security wage credits from my military service? So from 1957 through 1977, individuals were credited with $300 in additional earnings for each calendar quarter in which they received active duty basic pay. And then from 1978 through 2001, for every $300 in active duty basic pay, you're credited with an additional $100 in earnings, up to a maximum of $1,200 per year. But in January 2002, there is a new law that came into play, and that stopped the special extra earnings that have been credited to military service. In all cases, we add the additional credit for military service to the earnings that we average over your working lifetime, and not directly to your monthly benefit amount. So you may be wondering, well, what do I have to do to ensure that I get this extra credit? You actually don't have to do anything. When you file for Social Security benefits, that information is already going to be in our system. Occasionally, so we're going to have to verify your military service. We usually have that information available. Occasionally, we might not. So then we would have to ask for verification of your military service. But for the most part, we already have the information. It's already in our system, and you'll automatically be credited with any of those extra Social Security wage credits based on your military service when you file for benefits. So the percentage of your benefit is based on your full retirement age and when you file for Social Security benefits. So for individuals that were born in 1960 or later, their full retirement age is age 67. So that means they would receive their full Social Security payment at the full amount at age 67. If they decide to retire early, so let's say they start collecting at age 62, they would receive 70% of that benefit. And if they wait until age 70, it would be 124% of that benefit. So from the time an individual hits their full retirement age up until age 70, they can earn what we call delayed retirement credits. But once an individual turns 70, they no longer receive any of those delayed retirement credits, meaning your Social Security benefit isn't going to get any higher. So you might as well file at age 70. So here's an example of what that looks like. So for someone that was born 1960 or later, their full retirement age is age 67. And in this example, they have a benefit amount of $1,000. That's at their full retirement age. And you can see what the difference is for each year that they take it. So if they start at age 62, that benefit amount is going to be reduced. It's going to be $700. And once you start collecting early, it locks in that amount. So if you start collecting at age 62 and your benefit at that time is $700, it's not going to increase unless there's a cost of living adjustment. So you're locked into that amount. If you were to wait until age 70, in this example, that monthly benefit amount would be $1,240. So if you want to get estimates on your benefits, if you do not have a My Social Security account, I highly suggest creating one because the information that I just showed you, what your benefit amount will be at certain ages, is available through your own My Social Security account. So if you go to our website, which is ssa.gov, you can create an account, you'll create a username and password, and you'll have access to all your own personal information, and it will give you estimates of what your social security benefits will be at certain ages. We also have what we call the Social Security Statement. This may look familiar to some of you. It is something that we used to mail out to everyone. We don't do that anymore because now individuals can receive it through their My Social Security account. And I want to point out here that not only do you get estimates for your retirement benefits, but it will give you an estimate if you're to become disabled, if you were to pass away, how much your survivors would receive, and then it shows the estimated amount for retirement from age 62 up until age 70. And then we also have your earnings record that is available on your My Social Security Statement. And that shows what you made each year, which is really, really important because all of the estimates and the benefits that you receive from us are based on how much you've worked and paid into Social Security. So you definitely want to make sure that the earnings are correct for each year.
How can someone verify that they have information about their military service before they retire?
So that is a really great question. And I guess it depends on the type of information that you're wanting to verify. If it's about the military credits, like the extra credits for military service, that information is already in our system. If you wanted to verify your military service, that we have the information in our system that you served in the military, you could call our 800 number. It's 1-800-772-1213, or you can call the local office as well, and they would be able to verify that for you, that the information is available in our system. But all of the information in regards to your earnings record and those like special military wage credits, that's already in the calculation. So if you were to go into your My Social Security Statement to get the estimates, any sort of special wages due to you for being in the military, it's already been calculated in.
And Hillary, we have another question. What if they feel like there's an error in the amount listed on a certain year for the Social Security Statement?
If there is an error on the Social Security Statement for a year, for one of the years listed, we can change that, but we would need to have verification. So if you have a W-2 for that year, we could definitely change that, and that would be the local office that makes that correction. So you would want to contact your local office to get that changed.
Okay. And another question, if someone was receiving these statements and they haven't received one in a while, are they sent out automatically or are they available online?
That's a good question. They're only available online. We do not mail them out any longer unless there's one exception. If someone is age 60 or older and they're not collecting benefits and they do not have a Social Security Statement, then we would mail that out. I think it comes right before an individual's birthday, maybe up to 3 months before an individual's birthday is when that gets sent out. But for everyone else, the statements are not mailed out, and you would get that through creating your My Social Security account.
All right. And then one more question from the chat. Does an individual's federal retirement pension impact their Social Security benefit amount?
So it depends on the type of pension. If you have always paid into Social Security, then the pension will not affect your Social Security retirement benefit. But I believe that the magic year is 1983. If you were working for the federal government prior to 1983, you fall under a different retirement system, a civil service system, where you did not pay into Social Security. So then, yes, your pension would impact the Social Security benefit amounts. We call that the windfall elimination provision. And I'll send some information to Lisa to get that out in case that is the case for anyone. I'm making a note to myself right now.
And I think we have, Hillary, very few people. I know we used to do one for FERS, which you're basically doing now. And then we just had a couple people on CSRS, but I think most have retired. But if they do need that information for CSRS for that system, I know you have a different PowerPoint for that.
Yes, yep, that's a whole different hour-long presentation for those.
Okay, thank you.
And then we have one more chat question. It says, I have tried to establish my own account on ssa.gov. However, it says that there is an error and I need to go into the office. Is this something that they can handle over the phone?
I would definitely suggest calling and trying to figure that out over the phone first before going to the office. It very well could be something that we can resolve over the phone. And what we can do, if you get, sometimes when you're creating the account, you may get locked out, or if you had already created an account and can't remember your username or password, sometimes individuals will get locked out. We have to be able to verify your identity in order for you to establish the account. So if we're unable to verify your identity and you get locked out, then it will direct you to go into the local office. But if you can call, a lot of times we can just reset anything that you've already done online with the creating of that account. We can just kind of wipe that out and it will allow you to just start all over. Okay, so next I'm going to transition into talking about benefits for a spouse. So for a spouse, the maximum benefit that they can receive is 50% of the worker's unreduced benefit. There is a reduction for early retirement. If the spouse's own benefit is less than 50% of the workers, they will be combined to equal to 50% of the workers. It does not reduce the payment to the worker, and the benefit is unreduced if that spouse is caring for a worker's child younger than age 16 or disabled, and spouse's benefits are not payable until the worker collects. So I will break this down a little bit easier for you, hopefully. So if my benefit amount is $1,000, the most that my spouse can collect off of my record is 50% of that, so $500. If my spouse, my spouse would receive the $500 if he waited until his full retirement age to start collecting off of my benefit. He could start collecting off of my benefit before his full retirement age, but it's going to be reduced. So he wouldn't receive the full $500. There is an exception to that. And that exception is that benefit is unreduced if he is caring for our child that is under age 16, or if we have a disabled child that he's caring for, then there would be no reduction for early retirement. He would get that full $500. If he's collecting off of my record, it does not impact my benefit at all, but he cannot start collecting off of my record until I start collecting off of my record. Also, if he's due a benefit on his own record, and if it's more than the 50% on mine, so let's say the benefit on his own record is $800, he's not going to get the benefit off of my record. He's only going to get the $800. So he won't get the 500 plus the 800. He'll just get the 800. Now, let's say his benefit is less than the 500 he's due off of my benefit. Let's say he's due $300 on his own record. So he would get $300 on his record plus the 200 on my record for a total of the $500. So it would be the two that he gets for the total of what he would receive on my record as the $500. There are also benefits for divorced spouses. So you can receive benefits on your former spouse's record, even if he or she has remarried, if your marriage lasted at least 10 years, if you are unmarried, and if you are age 62 or older, if your ex-spouse is at least 62 or older and eligible for benefits, but that the ex-spouse does not have to be collecting. Also, the benefit you would receive based on your own work is less than the benefit you would receive based on your ex-spouse's work. So if my benefit is $500, my ex-husband could collect $500 off of my record unless he is due a higher benefit on his own record. I do not have to be collecting in order for him to collect off of my record. And this is for divorced spouses only. And the other example, if you're still married, you have to be collecting for your spouse to be able to collect off of you, but not with divorced spouses. Also, any benefit that's due to me, if I have a divorced spouse that's collecting, it's not going to impact my benefit at all. And if I'm receiving my own benefit and I'm currently married and my spouse is getting a benefit off of my record, and I have an ex-spouse that is due benefits off of my record, that ex-spouse can collect off of my record, and it's not going to impact the benefit I'm receiving or the benefit that my current spouse is receiving off of my record. So this is just an example. This is the example that I used before. And it's just saying that the spouse and an ex-spouse, they are due 50% of the full benefit amount. So if it's $1,000 that is my full benefit amount, the most that my spouse could receive is 50% of that, which is the $500. If they start collecting early off of my record, it's going to be reduced based on their age. The amount it's reduced by is all based on their age when they start collecting. So one thing that I have to talk about is deemed filing. And the reason that we bring this up is because we occasionally get questions about this still. So in the past, individuals used to have options on when to file. So like in the past, a husband and wife could, like let's say the wife was due benefits off of her spouse's record, but he wasn't ready to file yet. So he could file and then his wife could file too, and then he could suspend his benefit and she would keep receiving her benefits. Or she could receive off of her benefit and then wait until she was older to start getting benefits off of his record at a higher amount. Well, individuals are not able to do that any longer. So before, people used to strategize, and financial advisors would contact us and ask us, what is the best strategy or what are the options? And individuals don't have that anymore because of this deemed filing rule. So for individuals that were born on or after January 2nd of 1954 and qualify for both retirement and spouses or divorced spouses benefits, you must apply for both benefits. And this is called a deemed filing, which means if you file for one benefit, you are deemed to file for the other one too, even if you don't become eligible for it until later. So this applies at any age for people who turned age 62 after January 1st of 2016. So you just don't have those options anymore to collect on one and then wait to file on the other. If you're eligible for both, you're filing for both. So next I'm going to be talking about survivor benefits, and survivor benefits are payable to children, disabled children, and then also widow, widower, or divorced widow, widower. They can all receive survivor benefits. So for a child to receive survivor benefits, they must be unmarried and younger than age 18 or up to age 19 if they're still a full-time student in high school. Once they're 19, even if they're in high school at that time, they can no longer receive survivor benefits. However, if a child is disabled, they may receive benefits after the age 18 if they're unmarried and disabled before the age of 22. And those benefits could continue into adulthood, as long as they remain eligible under our disability rules. And then for widow and widowers or divorced widow and widowers, they may receive full benefits at full retirement age, or they could receive reduced benefits. So for widows or widowers, they can file as early as age 60 or as early as age 50 if they're disabled, or at any age if they're caring for a child of the deceased worker and that child is under age 16, or that child is disabled and is receiving disabled child benefits off of that worker's record. So when you pass away, your surviving spouse may claim survivor benefits at age 50 or older if they're disabled, otherwise at any age between 60 and full retirement age. And it's going to be reduced depending on how old they are when they start collecting the benefits. So for example, at age 60, they would receive 71.5% of your full benefit, and that's going to increase each month they wait up to 100% if they start at full retirement age. And like how I said before, with retirement benefits and spousal benefits, when I talked about deemed filing, how individuals no longer have an option on choosing which benefit they want to take, that's actually different with survivor benefits. So if I was a widow, I could start collecting widow benefits at age 60, and I could let my retirement benefit grow, and then I could start collecting at my full retirement age, so it's not reduced. Or I could even wait until age 70 to start collecting on my own record, because I would be maximizing those delayed retirement credits. So you do have options when it comes to survivor benefits, unlike straight retirement benefits. And that's basically what this slide is saying here, that you can collect one or the other and then switch at a different time, depending on what time is right for you to make that switch. And maybe you never do. Maybe collecting at age 60 as a widow, that's when you're going to receive that's the highest benefit available to you. That's fine. You don't ever have to make the switch, but that option is there. And I touched on this a little bit earlier in regards to benefits for children, especially when I talked about the survivor benefits. But a child can receive benefits off of a parent's record if the parent is collecting disability benefits or retirement benefits, or if the parent has passed away. A child could receive benefits from mom or dad's record. And in order to do that, the child has to be unmarried, younger than age 18, or up to age 19. If they're still in high school full-time, benefits will stop at age 19, no matter what. Or they can receive benefits after the age of 18 if they became disabled after the age of 22. So when we're taking applications for disability benefits, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, we will ask that question, do you have any minor children, or do you have any children that became disabled before the age of 22? And if an individual answers yes to that question, then that will tell the Social Security Administration that we need to obtain an additional application for that child. So let's say you completed a retirement application online or a disability application online, and you indicated, yes, you have a minor child or a child that became disabled before the age of 22. When that application gets submitted, it goes to the local field office, and a representative, works on that. And when they see the answer to that question as yes, then they're going to reach out to you to make sure we secure that application for that minor child or that disabled child, so we can pay benefits if they're due. So if you want to collect Social Security benefits and work, you can do that. However, there are limitations, and these are the dollar amounts for 2023. They typically change every year. But for individuals that are under full retirement age, they can make up to $21,240 per year. This is gross earnings, and still receive their full Social Security benefits. If they earn more than this, then we're going to withhold some of those benefits. So for every $2 over that amount, we're going to withhold $1 from your benefits. In the year someone turns full retirement age or reaches their full retirement age, that amount is $56,520. And you can earn this much in all months prior to the month you turn full retirement age. So let's say someone is turning their full retirement age this year in March. Let's say, this year in March, middle of March, they're turning their full retirement age. January and February, they can make up to $56,520 and still collect their Social Security benefit. And then from March on, they can make as much as they want. There's no limit. So once an individual hits their full retirement age, there is no limit on how much they can make. They can still collect their full benefit and work with no limit on their earnings.
So
And I'm just trying to grasp that, and I apologize for jumping in here. So if my full retirement age, it was December, what would that year look like?
So if your full retirement age is December of this year, then it depends on when you want your benefits to start. Because let's say you're turning full retirement age in December. If you start collecting in December, anything that you made prior to that point, we don't care about because you weren't collecting. We only care about from the time you start collecting moving forward. So, but let's say if you turn full retirement age in December, but you wanted to start collecting in October, then we do
Right.
care. But remember, if you start collecting prior to your full retirement age, your monthly benefit amount is going to be reduced because you started collecting early. Now, if you filed in October rather than December, it's not going to be reduced by a whole lot because you're only 2 months prior to your full retirement age, but there would be a reduction.
There'd be a reduction, but it wouldn't matter how much I had made up to that point.
Correct.
That's
correct. Correct.
So if I made, okay, so I could start collecting early at a reduced amount, but it's when I start collecting from then to the rest of the year, in this example, that it would actually, I'd have to make under the 56,520 as an example.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so and I'm guessing that 56,520 goes up every year.
Yes, it does.
And I'm just
Thank you so
asking
much.
that if we can go through the chat for questions. We do have someone monitoring it because Hillary wasn't able to share her screen, so I'm sharing mine. But we will try to read those questions in the chat as we're getting them. We have a few questions, Hillary, if you.
Yeah, so if somebody's spouse started drawing at 62 and they work until age 70, is there a percentage that is used to determine what amount their spouse will receive when they start drawing theirs at 70?
So there is a percentage, and I don't know it off the top of my head, what that percentage is. But if your spouse starts collecting on their own benefit at age 62, and they're going to be due they're going to be due benefits off of your record so they can't start collecting until you file for benefits. So when you file at age 70, at that point, if your spouse is their full retirement age, they would receive 50%. So the benefit that they would receive off of your record as a spouse wouldn't be reduced. However, they're not going to get the full 50% because we're going to subtract what they're getting on their own. But I don't know exactly what the percentage would be. However, I can get that to Lisa to get that information out.
Thank you. And then another question asks if a spouse will be notified of collection.
I'm not sure I understand that question, but let me try to explain how spousal benefits work. So if I am filing for benefits on my own record, there's a question that will come up and it asks about marriage. So at that time, if I am married at that time and I select, yes, I'm currently married, there's going to be questions that come into the application path based on how I answer that. So if my spouse is, due benefits at that time and is going to start collecting, those questions would automatically propagate into the application. So then it would be an application for me to collect and for my spouse to collect off of my record. When it comes to ex-spouse's benefits, though, it doesn't work the same way. So if I have an ex-spouse and I file for benefits off of my own record and I answer the questions, it asks about my marriage or past marriages, and I answer those questions. The application questions are going to change depending on how I answer those. And if I'm eligible for benefits off of my ex-spouse's record, I'm going to be able to file at that time as well, but my ex-spouse wouldn't be notified that I'm collecting off of his or her record.
Thank you. And do pensions and investments take from benefits received or just salaries?
So when we're looking at when we're looking at income and how it impacts the Social Security benefit, it's just work that impacts the Social Security benefit. Anything from like 401ks or IRAs, that doesn't impact the benefit. Typically, so with a pension, it depends on the type of pension, and it depends on if you paid into Social Security or not. So for like a lot of federal employees will be eligible for a pension. And under the current system, their pension from their federal service is not going to impact their Social Security benefit. But like an example, in Michigan, there are a lot of firefighters that do not pay into Social Security, so they're going to receive a pension. And in that case, their pension is going to impact their Social Security benefit. So it's all based on whether or not you paid into Social Security or not.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, when or how many years are not adjusted for inflation and why?
When or how many years are not adjusted for inflation and why?
Yeah, it says of the 35 highest years of earning, not all the earnings are adjusted by the inflation. Their question, when or how many years are not adjusted for the inflation and why?
So I want to say up to the prior 2 years are not adjusted for inflation, but I would have to look that up, and I'll have to get that answer to Lisa. For some reason, that's what sticks out in my head. The 2 years prior to filing are not adjusted, but let me get back to you on that to make sure I give you the right information. So when it comes to taxation, this is something that we always talk about. We only have one slide for it, and I don't really like talking about it because usually people have questions, and we really don't have a lot of answers because we're not tax professionals. But when individuals ask, well, is my Social Security going to be taxed? The answer is probably. It's all based on your combined income. And so your combined income is your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security. So that's what the combined income is. And if you file a joint return and your combined income is between $32,000 and $44,000, you may have to pay income tax on up to 50% of your benefits. If it's more than $44,000, up to 85% of your benefits may be taxable. For an individual, if your combined income is between $25,000 and $34,000, you may have to pay income tax on up to 50% of your benefits. If it's more than $34,000, up to 85% of your benefits may be taxable. But again, this really is a question for tax professionals if you wanted to figure out, how much is it going to be taxed. So next I'm going to transition into Medicare. Social Security's role with Medicare is really enrolling individuals into Medicare. And then for individuals that are receiving Social Security benefits, the Medicare premium comes right out of your Social Security benefit. So with Medicare, there's the original Medicare, which is the Part A and the Part B. That's the hospital insurance and the medical insurance. And then you can add a Part D prescription drug plan. You can also add the supplemental insurance coverage, which is known as Medigap. And then there's these Medicare Advantage plans, also known as Part C. So these will include the Part A, the Part B. Most plans include a Part D prescription drug plan. And then a lot of plans also include extra benefits, such as like vision, hearing, dental. Sometimes they include gym memberships. It all depends on the plan that you choose. So with Social Security, again, we're just enrolling individuals into the Part A, the Part B, so the original Medicare, but it's up to you if you choose to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. you would pick which plan that you want to choose. There was a question that came in prior to the presentation asking if these Medicare Advantage plans are based on income. They're not based on income, but the amount that you have to pay, it's based on the plan that you choose and the services that are offered. There are different enrollment periods, which that's the next slide. This one is just talks about Medicare eligibility. So for individuals that are age 65 or older, they're eligible for Medicare. Also, for individuals that receive Social Security disability benefits, after 24 months of receiving disability benefits, that's when Medicare eligibility begins. Individuals that have ALS or kidney failure, they're also entitled to Medicare, and that 24-month rule doesn't apply. But again, Medicare eligibility for individuals age 65 or older, if they're already receiving Social Security retirement benefits, they'll automatically get Medicare. I believe it's about 3 months before their 65th birthday is when we mail out that Medicare card. For individuals who are not receiving Social Security benefits, they would have to file an application for Medicare, and they do that with Social Security. Because they're not receiving benefits, they would be billed quarterly through Medicare directly. And we do have certain enrollment periods with Medicare. So there's the initial enrollment period, and this begins 3 months before your 65th birthday and ends 3 months after that birthday. So a lot of times that's when individuals are applying for Medicare. We also have the special enrollment period. So some individuals, they're still covered through their employer or their spouse's employer, and they're say, you know, I don't need Medicare, I don't need Part B yet, I already have coverage. So this special enrollment period, this is for individuals age 65 or older and covered under a group health plan based on you or your spouse's current work. When that work ends, you can sign up for Medicare at that time under that special enrollment period. And then if neither of those, if the initial enrollment period doesn't apply or the special enrollment period doesn't apply, there of course is the general enrollment period. And this is January 1st through March 31st of each year. So let's say you never applied for Medicare when you were in your initial enrollment period, and a special enrollment period doesn't apply to you either, then there is that general enrollment period. So Medicare Part A, that's free. Medicare Part B, there is a premium for. And then with the Medicare Part B coverage, something that is new this year is, you know, when you enroll, there used to be a waiting period of when coverage would begin, and that has changed this year. So beginning in 2023, if you enroll in this month of your initial enrollment period, so in month 1 to 3 months prior, before you reach age 65, then your Part B coverage is going to start the month you turn 65. So if you enroll the month that you turn 65 or up to the 3 months after, then your coverage would begin the first day of the month after you sign up. That's when that Medicare Part B coverage is going to begin. The premium for this year for the Part B is the standard premium is $164.90. And this is, so the premium, it's based on the modified adjusted gross income. And so the $164.90, that is for individuals with that adjusted gross income of $97,000 or less, or married couples with adjusted gross income of $194,000 or less. That premium increases as the adjusted gross income levels increase. So you can see the next bracket down, we would add $65.90 to that $164.90, and it's going to increase. Also with the prescription drug plans, there's also a monthly premium amount that would get added based on what the adjusted gross income is. Lots of questions can be answered from Medicare.gov. I know there's lots of questions about, you know, different drug coverage plans or, you know, Medicare Advantage plans, and all that information is available at medicare.gov. Again, with Social Security, we're just enrolling people into Medicare. If you want to file for Medicare, you would do that through Social Security. But any questions about the actual plans or costs and what's covered, what's not covered, we would direct you to go to medicare.gov. And again, for Medicare applications, you would contact Social Security to file for Medicare. So even if you're not ready to file for Social Security retirement benefits yet, you can still file an application for Medicare only. Once you're 65, you can file up to 4 months before you turn age 65. If you have already filed for Medicare, so you already have Part A and you want to add Part B, so let's say, when you were 65, you filed for Medicare Part A, but you didn't need the Part B because you were still working and covered under your current employer's plan. And now you're going to retire from your employment, so you're no longer going to have coverage. So you just need to sign up for the Part B. You're still going to complete the online application, and then we're going to ask for additional information. There's 2 forms to be completed, and it's one form, it's just asking when you want your coverage to start. And then the other form, we need verification from your employer that you were covered up until that date of when you want coverage to start. And those can be faxed to your local office. You can mail them to your local office, fax them to the local office. You can drop them off at the local office if you want to, but you don't have to go in. Okay, so Medicare and TRICARE. So all of this information was on the TRICARE website. Social Security, I would guess if you were to ask questions with a Social Security representative about Medicare and TRICARE, they probably wouldn't be able to answer those just because it's not something that we deal with. We're really just enrolling individuals in Medicare. But I wanted to include just a little bit of information that I found on the TRICARE website. So this is what I found that I thought may be important. So once you have both Medicare Part A and Part B, you automatically receive TRICARE benefits under TRICARE for Life. And TRICARE for Life benefits include covering Medicare's coinsurance and deductible for services covered by Medicare and TRICARE. Medicare Part C and Part D, it's not required, although you can choose to have a Part D plan. You can choose a Medicare Advantage plan, but it's just not required. And then also TRICARE for Life, it's an individual entitlement. So coverage is only available for the Medicare and TRICARE for Life eligible beneficiary. It doesn't extend to family members. So if your spouse is younger than age 65, your spouse would remain eligible for TRICARE Prime or TRICARE Select until they turn age 65 and become eligible for Medicare Part A and Part B. And then at that time, they would be eligible to receive TRICARE for Life. So next I'm going to transition into applying for benefits. If you want to apply online for retirement, spousal benefits, disability, or Medicare, we highly, highly encourage you to do so. Survivor benefits, that application cannot be completed online, so you definitely want to contact Social Security for any sort of survivor benefit. But all other benefits, applications can be completed online. However, you don't have to complete those applications online. If you want to sit down with someone face-to-face, you can do that. If you want to have a telephone appointment with someone, you can do that as well. So to schedule an appointment, you would call our 800 number. You can also call the local field office. I think sometimes the 800 number is a little bit easier to get through because the phone lines are open extended hours in comparison to the local field office. But when you call to schedule an appointment, the representative at the 800 number is going to ask for your zip code, and then the calendar for the local field office will propagate, and they'll be able to tell you when the next available appointment is. Again, that can be done over the phone, or you can go into the local office for that appointment if you wish to do so. So I know at the very beginning, I talked about my Social Security account and creating that account. The importance of creating the account, the information available to you includes benefit estimates, but then it also includes that my Social Security statement, which is important to review because you want to make sure your earnings are correct since your benefits are going to be based on that. So when you create an account, this is what the web page looks like when you go to create that account. You're either going to sign in or create the account. Some of the features available. So the account, it's available to anyone that's over the age of 18. You have to have an email address. You have to have a US mailing address. Whether you're receiving benefits or not, it's really has a lot of great information in there. For individuals that are already receiving benefits, you can get a benefit verification letter. So if you're working with another agency that needs verification of what your income is, you can get that information through your account. If you need to update your address, your phone number, direct deposit, you can change that information through your account as well. Also, when you have an account, you can request a replacement Social Security card. So if you needed to change your name or your date of birth on your Social Security card, you can't do that online. But if you just need a replacement card, you can do that through your My Social Security account. And if you're not receiving benefits, you can get the replacement Social Security card. You can also, like I said earlier, you can get estimates of different types of benefits. If you have filed for benefits, you can check the status of your application. You can even get a benefit verification letter as proof that you are not receiving benefits. Sometimes individuals need that, and that's available through your My Social Security account as well. We also have a frequently asked questions page. That's pretty helpful. There's lots of different topics to browse. We direct individuals here all the time. A lot of times as public affairs specialists, we're getting questions from, community advocates, financial advisors, human resource professionals. And when we're responding to those questions, we're usually providing a link to one of our frequently asked questions. There's just a lot of good information here. If you want to check it out, please do so. I would suggest that if you have a question, is a little bit more in depth. So let's say you can't find the answer online or you have additional questions about it. If you call our 800 number, our 800 number does great with scheduling appointments. If you have some general questions, they're very, very helpful. But sometimes if you have specific questions about your benefits, or you get a letter in the mail you don't understand, or it's something more complex, then I would suggest contacting your local Social Security office before, contacting the 800 number. And here is our website, our 800 number information. To figure out what Social Security office is your local office, we have the Social Security office locator on our website. The link is it's the ssa.gov/locator. You put in your zip code and it will come up with the local field office. It will show the address, the phone number, the fax number, the hours. All that information will be there, so you can contact your local office. This is my last slide in the presentation, so I will open it up for questions at this time.
If someone were to retire January 31st of the year, what income does Social Security use to calculate amount of monthly benefit? Do they use earnings as of December 31st of the previous year, or the date you apply for Social Security?
We're going to use income through the previous year, not the date that you apply. So if you applied the middle of this year, we would calculate the income up through the previous year and not the year that we're in. But we will do readjustments every year. So let's say someone filed for benefits like in June of this year. So when we calculate their benefit amount, it's based up through December of the previous year. So then, January through June, if you worked, that's not going to be in the calculation of your benefit amount. But the following year, we will do a recalculation and your benefit could increase based on those earnings from January through June.
Thank you. And then another question is asking, does the SSA provide a list of the Honest Advantage plans, and why isn't this a part of the Social Security system?
We do not have a list of Medicare Advantage plans. You would have to get that information through Medicare. I I'm not sure why we don't have that information. I mean, I would guess it's because Medicare is the one that administers, the Medicare program. CMS administers that program. I know there is a lot of information on the Medicare website. There's also the Medicare handbook. I think it's called Medicare and You, that has a lot of information. But those Medicare Advantage plans that are out there, they do have to follow certain, rules and regulations set by CMS and the Medicare program. But Social Security does not have a list of those Advantage plans.
Okay, thank you. And another question is asking if you could please clarify the special enrollment period. If two spouses who are different ages and the older spouse is covered under the employed spouse's FEHB, does this apply? How do we pursue for this? In parentheses, for the first spouse, is Medicare eligible soon?
So if the individual, when a person is applying for Medicare, they're going to be 65, and if they are covered under their own employment or their spouse's employment, if they're covered under their healthcare insurance, they don't have to apply for Part B. That's with the premium. They would still probably want to apply for the Part A Medicare. That's free. The Part B they do not have to apply for, but once they're no longer covered under that health plan, then they would want to contact Social Security to apply, and they would fall under that special enrollment period. So let's say, it just all depends on when they're going to no longer have coverage. So that's when they would want to contact Social Security to apply for that Medicare Part B. Like as soon as they know that they're no longer going to be covered under their healthcare insurance from their employer or their spouse's employer.
Okay, thank you. And they were also wondering for the special enrollment period, if the younger spouse with FEHB retires, does this still apply to the 65-year-old spouse?
The special enrollment period would apply to the spouse that is 65. So if the younger spouse is going to retire and the spouse that is 65 or close to 65 is no longer going to be entitled to the healthcare benefits they had from the younger spouse that's retiring, then the older spouse would want to apply for Medicare Part B, and they would be entitled to that special enrollment period.
This next question says, my wife started drawing Social Security at age 62 on her record. She was born in 1952. I will be retiring at age 70 in 3.5 years. Will her payment amount go up? And if so, how can I figure it out? How can I figure out that amount?
Her payment amount
I did put some notes on there. I do have a copy of Hillary's presentation, her PowerPoint. If anyone wants it, they can email me. Feel free to email me at lisa.grunin@dla.mil, and I can get that to you. Thank you all for participating. If you have any questions that were not answered, please email me as well, and I will send those to Hillary and send you back an answer for those questions. Thanks, Hillary. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thanks for your questions. I hope you all have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.